Good evening, Eco Gypsy here. One of the things I think I've been very lucky with in my life is wherever I've lived or wherever I've been or wherever I ended up living, I've lived in boats and tents and houses and trucks and all sorts, but if I'm ever anywhere for too long I always end up with a good fire pit. And for me, fire, and we spend, especially here, we spend 95% of the time outside, so it's really important to me. Part of my upbringing, I suppose, and part of my tradition is sitting around fires and talking, and especially with the older people, and we spend a hell of a lot of time here cooking on the fire and outside. So for some people it's maybe not such a big deal, but I'm going to just show you the fire pit that I've got at the moment, and I've had all sorts of variations, and I found this where we are at the minute, this is about as good a setup as you can get, especially if you're cooking on a fire. We've had some real big pits which are not, not ideal for being very social with. This one is a nice little setup, but I'm going to show you the pit we've got at the minute, and I'm going to show you the setup I've got for cooking, which is slightly unorthodox. Again, I've had all the traditional trivets and chains and all different sorts of setups, because we tend to have a lot of people here eating from time to time, especially children. It's a matter of getting maybe 10 or 12 portions on the go, and sometimes pots and different things don't work, so I've got a little setup at the minute which works really well. But anyway, I'll show you the pit we've got. Now, it's nothing that unusual, I guess. What we've got is we've got a 22-inch pit, so it's probably 45 inches wide. The brickwork is actually made from thermal heating blocks out of our storage heater. The reason I've used them for, I've just lit this, so obviously it's a bit raging at the minute, is you just need a very small fire for a lot of heat, and the bricks hold the heat really well, so you can actually put pots and kettles and bits and pieces on the outside of that ring and they'll hold the heat for hours and hours and hours. So even in the winter we sometimes sit out here and have a little bit of a fire, burn a bit of waste wood, and I've got a little bit of wood to burn at the minute, and that just it's amazing how much I've had pits twice this size and I never kicked out the heat that these do with these blocks. So I recommend that if anyone's going to build one of these, that they use the storage heater bricks. They're excellent. Obviously they don't crack and they maintain a really good even heat, so it's brilliant for cooking. If you go deeper than 22 inches, what you'll find is the fire starves itself, so you just end up with dead, you can never get the air into it, so it never burns very well. And I've done them previously where I've had like pipes running in with bellows and stuff to pump air into it, and it's just, I don't know, it's a bit of a bloody arseache really. You just want to sit there and chuck the pot on. You don't want to be doing anything too dramatic. And same with the width. If you go much wider than that, the fire generally, you just have a massively, this is hot at the minute, but you can imagine if that is another foot or two in diameter, that'd be so hot that you couldn't actually sit by it, so it defeats the object of having a social fire pit, Anyway, what we're going to do is I'll just wait for this to die down a little bit, and I'll put on the pot, and I'll put on my little setup and you can see for yourself. Alright, okay, fire's died down a bit, and we've just used a spade to push most of the embers over that side. That on there is an old bit of scrap metal, cast iron grill. Don't know even where it came from now, I've had it for ages. It fits perfectly across there, and like I say, I'll show you basically what we're going to do. I haven't got any children here tonight, so in the absence of that, I've got what I call a dad dinner. So leftovers basically, a bit of potato, bit of onion, bit of old burgers, a couple of burgers, and a can of beans. Look, so about as basic as you can get. I'm normally a bit more of a chef than that, but right, I'll put the pan on and you can see for yourself. So this here is a paella pan. Now I will admit it looks smaller on the pictures. We've spent a lot of time in Europe and around Spain and places, and we always seem to end up eating paella and various food, and I quite fancied one, but this is a bit bigger than the picture was. But anyway, I think I've certainly cooked for about 12 or 14 with that. It's a fair old size, but it's brilliant for cooking on because it gives you a really good even heat. But I'll show you in a minute, you can actually spin it round as well, so you can use certain parts of it to be hotter than others. I have used this to boil in as well, and filled it with water, and that cooks really nice veg and stuff like that. So if you wanted to do a stew or anything like that, and if you get the balance right, you can literally push it round so you get different parts of the pan hot. I think for a lot of travelling people, a lot of business is done around the fire, and if you've been out of work all day and you come back, certainly years ago, even now really, this is the time when you see your family. This is the time where you catch up on the day's events and see what the missus is up to, and a bit of food, a cup of tea, that sort of thing. And summers are long here. You know, it's still light at 9:30, so it's nice to be able to sit out and have a bit of a conversation. Sometimes this pot goes on, or this pan goes on and off the fire maybe 4 or 5 times a night, depending on who's arriving and who's hungry, and you get people who come from a long way away, and it's just easy to chuck this back on and chuck some more food in. People bring stuff with them, and it's quite nice sometimes if you are a bit skint and you ain't got the money, and you've got visitors coming around, everyone brings a little bit of something. It soon makes a meal up. You can put fairly much anything in this pan and that'll cook. But we tend to do a lot of mix and match, so whatever anyone brings round to get, it's good for the kids. They don't seem to argue too much. If they're hungry and there's one meal being cooked, they will eat it. I think it's very important nowadays just to my boy likes cooking on the fire, and we all have a little bit of put a bit in, and the kids all do marshmallows at the end. It's a nice part of it really. Obviously that top part is a lot hotter. So it cooks a lot quicker up the top half than it does at the bottom, but I don't think Gordon Ramsay's got much to worry about, but in all seriousness, I consider myself very lucky. I'm not far away from the city, and every time I'm up there I see a lot of people, homeless people who are sitting outside waiting for someone to give them half their McDonald's, and I think I've been in some pretty dire places in my time, but I've always been able to light a fire and make myself a bit of food. So life can't be that bad, can it? The other cool thing about this pan is it's coated enamel. So that's about the length of the washing up. So there we got it. Dad's dinner, gypsy style, on the fire. Don't look too bad. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you all soon.